Divorced people. What is the craziest thing you or your former spouse did after divorce? The divorce itself was messy enough, but nothing could have prepared me for what came after. My ex-husband, the man I had once thought I would grow old with, ended up doing something that turned our whole family upside down. When we were married, his stepmom was just that, a stepmom. She had been in his life since he was 11, married to his dad for as long as I'd known him. They lived in the same house for years, with all the usual complicated family dynamics, but nothing out of the ordinary. After our divorce, though, everything changed. I found out through his sister, who I still kept in contact with despite the divorce, that my ex had started dating his stepmom, the woman who had been married to his father for decades, the one who'd been a constant figure throughout his childhood and adult life. It was hard to believe at first, like a bad joke or a twisted soap opera plot. The truth was far more painful. A few years before the divorce, his stepmom had confessed her feelings for him to his father. That confession shattered the family. His dad was blindsided, of course. Their marriage couldn't survive it. They ended up divorcing. The father's reaction was complicated, hurt, betrayed, angry. But what caught my attention was what happened next. The dad started dating a woman who was barely out of her teens, a 21-year-old. Meanwhile, my ex and his stepmom moved in together, starting a relationship that lasted nearly 5 years. The family, once close-knit, was torn apart by their choices. His sister tried to stay out of it as much as she could, but would share bits of what she heard. It was clear this wasn't just a passing thing. They were serious. I wasn't sure how to feel about it. Part of me was disgusted. Another part was numb. But mostly I was just grateful I was out of that mess. I remembered all the signs I had ignored back when we were married, how distant he became, the secrets, the late nights away from home. None of it made sense until I realized this had probably been brewing under the surface for a long time. The family gatherings became a minefield. His dad refused to attend any event where my ex or his stepmom would be present. The father's new girlfriend, the 21-year-old, seemed oblivious to the drama she had stepped into. Or maybe she didn't care. Everyone walked on eggshells, trying not to say the wrong thing. Through all of this, I kept my distance. I had no desire to confront him or his stepmom. I wasn't even sure what I would say. Our marriage had ended, but this felt like a different kind of betrayal. One that hit deeper because it involved his family in such an intimate and unsettling way. Sometimes his sister would call me to check in, telling me things no one else dared say aloud. She felt sorry for her dad, but also understood why the stepmom had done what she did. Apparently, their marriage was strained for years before the confession. Still, that didn't make it easier to accept what followed. The house where they all once lived together now stood empty most days, the echoes of arguments and broken promises lingering in the air. The divorce between his parents was finalized quietly. No fanfare, just paperwork and legal signatures. The community whispered, but no one knew the full story. Meanwhile, my ex and his stepmom built a life together away from the town that knew them. Friends stopped talking to him, family members took sides. It fractured relationships that had taken decades to build. His sister remained one of the few bridges to the past, a reminder of the family that had been before everything fell apart. For me, life moved on. I rebuilt what I had lost, found peace in the chaos. I realized how lucky I was to have left when I did, to have walked away before their twisted relationship came. The betrayal cut deep, but it also freed me. Years later, hearing bits and pieces of their life together, how they celebrated anniversaries, their vacations, their day-to-day existence, I still felt a pang of disbelief. How had this happened? How did someone you once loved become entangled in something so disturbing? I never told many people the details. It wasn't something easy to explain or understand, but when I think about those years, the divorce, and what came after, I know one thing for sure. I'm grateful to be where I am, far from the mess that was my ex's life. The craziness of it all is a dark chapter I don't dwell on, but it's a story I carry with me, proof that some endings, no matter how painful, are the best beginnings. And that's how it all unfolded. The man I once married, the family I once called my own, ripped apart by a secret love that changed everything. I left broken but stronger, and that has made all the difference.